In this part, we will discuss the early life of Xi Jinping. When Xi Jinping opened his eyes, he was in a family of a senior influential communist leader, Xi Jinping. After the pandemonium of the Cultural Revolution erupted and Xi Sr. was purged from the party leadership, Xi Jr. was only 10 years old. 3 years later, in 1966, Xi's education was cut short and the family came under immense pressure and attacks. It was during that time when Xi lost his elder sister. Xi's family was paraded as anti-party, his mother was forced to denounce her husband, and Xi Jinping was sent to prison. During that time, Chairman Mao was pushing for down to the countryside movement, where he would send some of the privileged youth from urban areas to remote rural areas. These privileged youth were called as the educated youth, but like many of them who lost the opportunity to attend university, they were also called as the lost generation. The philosophy behind this movement was to make the privileged know how people in rural areas are living and understand their hardships. Without his father, young Xi was sent to a remote village in China. Around 17 million young men were sent to remote areas so they could learn from the rural life. Since Xi Jinping was born in a rich family and he was not used to a rural life, his experience haunted him to an extent that he ran away to Beijing among other fellows, where he was arrested in a crackdown and sent to prison. During his time in prison, he was forced to do hard labor, and it was then he realized that it is even more difficult to survive in these conditions as compared to living in a village. During an interview, when Xi Jinping himself told media that when they were sending him back to the village, everyone was crying except him. When he was asked why Xi Jinping isn't afraid going back to the village he ran away from, Xi Jinping replied that in the prison he was not sure if he is going to survive one day. In the village, he at least knows that he is going to survive. Later on, Xi spent 7 most memorable years of his life in the village, and it is then when Xi's personality was molded into what he is today. Xi Jinping was sent to Liangji High Village. There, Xi used to sleep in a room that was carved into a cave. He did janitorial work, fed the pigs, herd the sheep, worked in mines. According to Xi Jinping himself, at that time he used to do all kinds of work. It was not an easy life for someone who was born in prestige, studied in a top-notch military-run school. For most of the people who was transferred to the rural areas and down to the countryside movement, it would be a nightmare. It was no different for Xi Jinping himself, but he adopted the new environment and overcome the challenges better than anyone else. He proved himself to be a brave young man who could stand tall in the face of adversity. During a documentary, people described Xi Jinping as a humble, friendly and learned person. When he first arrived in the village, among other luggage, the heaviest one was one with the books. He would spend his spare time reading all kinds of books. In an interview, Xi himself told media, pointing out to a specific place on a mountain, that in his spare time he used to read all kinds of books sitting at that place. His reading habit grew over time and he started helping other villagers in reading and writing. A person from village says that Xi was very helpful and learned. He said that he would help him in every subject and he used to explain things several times to make sure that he understood them correctly. Xi was fond of history books and he also liked Goethe, read Karl Marx, Das Kapital many times among other books. We will continue in the next section.